Hey, this is Kerry, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. I've traveled up to Nashville, and I'm meeting with Steve Farmer. Steve is the guy who's lived your dream. That is to say, Steve, you grew up in Kentucky?
Well, I was born in Kentucky, lived in Kentucky, Germany, Arizona.
Your dad was in the military?
He was civil service, so we
Okay.
traveled around to
Okay.
military bases, and that's basically how I grew up. Yeah.
So who were you in my sophomore year in high school? In your sophomore year in high, were you into music? What?
I played trumpet in the band, marching band, concert band, and I was the accompanist for all the choirs.
Okay.
So I've just enriched in music. all through that.
So was it your ambition to be in music from the early age?
I think that's any kid's dream that has an instrument in his hand.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So then from there, how do you get to Nashville?
Oh my goodness. Long story.
Make it brief.
Woo! I started playing when I was 8 years old. The little neighbor kids had a piano over there, and they played a little bit. So myself and my two brothers. I'm the middle son too, by the way.
Like myself.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. I went over there tinkling around on the piano, and my parents asked if I wanted to take lessons, and I said sure. So my dad hooked me up with his old piano teacher that he had years back. She was still alive. She's 80 years old. So I started taking lessons from her at 8 years old. That just progressed, kept playing. She always said I had a natural talent. I didn't know if I did or not. I just played, enjoyed it. We moved to Arizona when I was about 11. Then got into junior high school, and there was a stage band, and the director of the band there was a young guy. He was 25, and he played piano, and he had a stage band at the junior high school, and he was a big Elton John freak.
Okay.
Big Elton fan. He looked like Elton. So.
Okay. You choose.
No more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade black and white.
Okay.
I didn't know who that was at the time. Well, I remember hearing Crocodile Rock when I was
Sure.
like 10 years old. So he got me to play piano in the stage band. So that was kind of my intro into more popular type music.
Okay.
And just enjoyed it. And he was just something else to me, watching him and listening to him play. And I became an Elton fan too, of course, because of him.
Okay. So now you are a percussionist for a country western singer.
Piano player, yeah.
Okay, a piano player.
Yeah. Well,
And backup singer.
And I sing backup with him too, yeah. And I remember back when I was working, Queen of My Double Wide Trailer would come on the speakers. They'd pipe through the whole factory. Sammy Kershaw, back when he first came out,
Okay.
everybody's singing along. And I would joke around with some of the guys about getting on the bus, other musicians
Yeah,
that worked there. And ended up saving my money while I was at Toyota and thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to move to Nashville.
Okay.
Whatever happens, happens. So I saved my money and actually enrolled in Belmont University in the commercial music program. Went there a couple of years. It got expensive, so went over to MTSU, Middle Tennessee State, in the computer science and the recording industry. Did that, and right at graduation time, I was playing in this little band out in the middle of the country in this little bar. And this lady came up to me and said, "Hey, you're really good. Would you want to play for Sammy Kershaw?"
My goodness.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
I've been with Sammy like 19 years now.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, well, sure. You know, kind of, who are you?
Yeah.
So we traded numbers, and I thought, I'll never hear anything. Well, about a month later, this man called me and said, hey, my name's Greg. I'm Sammy Kershaw's road manager. It was the lady's husband.
Okay,
ex-husband.
okay.
Yeah. So I met Greg at Soundcheck, the rehearsal hall there, and handed him a CD out the window. He took it, drove away. 5 minutes later, he called me and said, can you be at the bus next week?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. So
Been on the bus ever since.
so you're on the bus and you're with Sammy.
Uh-huh.
How do you get paid?
We get paid by the show.
Okay. Do you so it's a flat fee, or do you get a percentage of the gate?
No, I get one certain
A flat
amount of
fee.
flat fee per show, yeah.
Okay. All right. So you've got this skill, and you've got a job anytime that Sammy does a concert. But we
Right.
know last year you didn't do much traveling.
Nobody was working last year.
Yeah.
Hardly at all.
So how did you supplement your income during that?
Well, I've got some rental property.
Okay.
That was part of the story.
Okay, we want to get to that.
Yeah.
But where I'm at is you called me or I called you or whatever, and you said you were 59 years old.
I'll be 59 next week, a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And you're wondering how am I going to prepare myself for retirement?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that just before all the pandemic had started, I had a little bit of money in the bank, not a lot, a few tens of thousands, enough to get by and keep business going. And I had my money sitting in the bank, and here's all these ads from online banks saying, "Put your money here, put your money. You'll get 2% instead of 0.0%." So I was thinking, well, why haven't I done that already? So I started swapping some money over into those accounts, and you get your $250 bonus. And
right.
Thought, wow, I'm really doing it now.
I'm on top of it.
Top of my game.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the pandemic started, and I'd known the stock market's there, but I think, like most folks, I didn't know really anything about it.
Okay.
Known all along that you're supposed to be investing in life, but I hadn't. Probably like most folks like me aren't. And so I kind of started watching some YouTube videos about investing, and that sparked an interest.
Okay.
So I thought, scared to death.
Yeah.
I'm gonna lose all my money.
Yeah.
So I started right as the pandemic started and things started doing this nosediving. I thought, well, maybe it's gonna do this.
Yes. It always does.
Yeah, but I was scared that I didn't know. I didn't know how the market worked. I didn't know.
Okay.
It's just day to day. So I started putting a little money in the stock market.
All right.
Watching some YouTube videos from some different folks.
Okay.
In fact, that's how I ended up finding you about a year ago.
So where I'm going is what I want to know is, or what I want to help you find is a way. What do you got? 6 years before you want to retire? 10 years? How long?
I'd say ideally 6.
Okay, so you're 65.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me ask you this. You've got a skill. How else can you market that skill?
Good question. I've asked myself that a lot.
Okay.
What can I be doing now? And that's why I even thought about doing some kind of a YouTube thing.
Okay.
Myself.
Let me ask, and again, I don't know your industry.
Yeah.
You're good at the piano. Somebody plays the piano in commercials. Somebody plays the piano in movies.
Yeah.
And somebody puts down those tracks.
Yeah.
Is that an avenue you could go?
That's tough to get into.
Okay, when you say everything's tough to get into, that's an excuse. We got to put those behind us.
Good point. Something to say about that is, just like my own self, people might look at me like, "Wow, I could never be him." Look at
Exactly.
him. But to me, I'm just little old Steve from Kentucky, sitting on Granny's front porch, years ago. But look,
You've achieved your dream.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm telling you, folks. Don't look at me as he's that guy. No, I'm you. I am you.
Yeah.
So it can happen for anybody if you just do it.
Okay, so let's get back to you though. Okay, who's your competition? Is there anybody in your industry that does what you do that you think, boy, he or she's really got it together?
Not in particular.
Okay.
Once you're doing it, you're doing it.
See, this is, I relate everything back to what I've done. When I did the YouTube channel, the first thing I did was go watch Meet Kevin and Graham Steffens.
Graham Steffens.
Okay?
Yeah,
and I said, okay, what are they doing? And how are they doing it?
Yeah.
And how could I do it differently? Or maybe better?
Yeah.
Or not even better, but differently.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what I'm asking you, is there somebody who does what you do, but when you're not traveling, and when you're home from Monday through Thursday, what could you do to generate an extra $1,000 a week?
Yeah, and you just sparked the answer there. I've watched YouTube. Different people who do piano stuff on YouTube. I've seen people give lessons on there, people who just play stuff, but there's all kinds of channels on YouTube, some successful, some not.
Yes.
So I look at that and think, well, could I be the successful one if I tried something like that? And how long does it take?
Okay. I can probably answer that question for you.
So I have dabbled in that a little bit. I started my own YouTube channel.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where I just it's nothing specifically targeted towards an ideal that I have in mind. I just wanted to get on YouTube.
Okay, what I would say to you is find someone who is doing it on YouTube. Go and see what kind of clients or viewership they're getting, and then I can help you tell you what they're making. And then what I would add to that is carrying a camera with you on these concerts, because at that point you're different.
I've done that recently. This past couple of weeks.
You're different.
Yeah.
And now you're taking and saying, this is what I do. This is how I do it. This is what life behind the stage is. While we were here, you just shared with me that Sammy was having some hearing problems because he thought he was going deaf, and the reality was that his soundboard wasn't set up properly, and Alan came and did it for him, worked for him. Most people don't know that.
Yeah.
If you can entice them, this guy's going to show me how to play the piano, and then he's going to give me insights into how do I get involved in Nashville, or how does a guy become a backup singer, and that. That's a skill that you have that 99% of the rest of the world doesn't have.
Yeah, and I get asked that question a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
how do I do that?
Okay. So now do it.
Yeah.
And put it out there. But first of all, go find somebody who is doing your skill, teaching people how to play the piano, then find people who are teaching people how to break into the industry, and now take them on the road with you.
Yeah. Wow, what a journey.
Yeah.
For them.
That every week they would come and you'd be able to show them. I know you're going to Hiawassee, which is close to Birmingham, and I thought, well, I'd love to go out there and just see what's happening behind.
Come on.
So that's your leg up.
Yeah.
Okay? And I don't know if it's commercial gigs, digital gigs, or I challenge you something here. Find a YouTuber that is very successful, and you create him a theme song. Okay, so you create basically maybe a video, because they're all very video oriented.
Yeah.
And you send them that video and say, hey, I've got an idea. I'd like to create you a theme song.
Yeah.
And rather than charge you for it, I'd like to share in your profits that you think this song enhances you. So now you're getting what I call mailbox checks.
Right, mailbox money. They call that in music business from royalties. Money.
Okay. So with that in mind, if you could do a YouTube channel and then you could tap into other YouTubers. It's again, you tell me you watch Meet Kevin and Graham. They don't have music in their videos.
No, they don't.
And the reason is, if you put music and it's copyrighted, they take away. They demonetize. Yeah. So now, if you produce a song or a series of songs that belongs to them, and you create a royalty check, and the beautiful thing about YouTube is you can die and the checks keep coming. Okay.
That's I guess a nice perk.
Well, I mean, it is for your heirs.
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that would be something I would suggest you do. Then the other thing is, you tell me you have a flat fee. How can you go to Sammy and say, I've got more than I can give you, so that you can raise my weekly fee?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what you're doing, what I think I hear you say, is you have a business, but you run it like an employee.
Pretty much.
Okay?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Now what you have to do is transition and say, I have a business and I have to run it as a business. I would also suggest, I would guess you file an individual tax return.
I do, yeah.
You need to create an LLC.
Yeah, and that's why I'm thankful for you and your channel and what you do, teaching people how to do these things that dummies like me don't have a clue. So.
Right, and so that's where I would think you would go. You might see I've created a list of questions here.
Yeah.
Nita said, "Why didn't you do that a week ago?" And I said, "I don't work that way. I focus," and that's truly what I do, and I think that's important. Too many of us look at things at the big scope. And it's more important to say, okay, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to focus on it. And I'm going to sit down in the quiet. And as you can see, I have written about 4 or 5 pages of questions that I want to ask you. And I have focused on it.
Yeah.
And that's what you need to do. What I'm going to challenge you to do is to find and create $1,000 more per week. Okay? Then what I'm going to challenge you to do is invest that $1,000 a week and determine what level of return you want from it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you come to the investment channel, so you know I believe that if you invest in Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook, you will get a 15% return.
Right.
Okay, over the next 6 years, and that's so. If you invest $1,000 a week for the next 6 years in those 5 stocks, you'll invest $289,000. In the future value will be $422,000.
Yep.
If you have $422,000 when you're 65, and now you're not on the road, and now you want to focus on getting an exponential return on your investment, now you can say, I'm going to take that up to 30%.
Yeah.
And now you actually manage your portfolio, and now it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You can grow your portfolio accordingly.
Yeah, and I've come to actually kind of love looking into all that just in the stock market and
Yeah.
what's going on. You know, of course, there's Kathy Wood and all her belief about the tech stocks and all the bio stocks, and I think she's right, and you too. The things that you say on your channel, that's the future.
That is the
Invest in the future.
Invest in the future and invest in change.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm very driven by, I believe, and if you watch my channel, you know I believe this, that the most important thing that has happened in my life in my 76 years was the coronavirus. And the second most important thing has happened in the last 3 months, and that is cyber attacks.
Yeah.
And
It's huge.
those 2 things have to be stopped, that we don't have the virus. So what my challenge becomes is to find the companies that are going to facilitate that change. And if you'll do that, and you'll focus on it, and not get sidetracked from other things.
Yeah, that's what I've had to learn in the stock market is, as the very beginner, I was scared. I saw things doing this and that, and I was getting sidetracked from I didn't even really know, because I hadn't had the experience to realize it's okay to see some volatility.
Yeah.
Don't sell out. Don't be a wimp. Don't, as they say, paper hand.
Yeah.
Invest in the future and hang on to it, because the future is coming.
But you also need to recognize you're going to make some mistakes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you recognize that maybe the future is too far out there, and because of something, I've got someone who just badgers me about a stock by the name of Gilt, and Gilt is a satellite company. It's going to put up low orbit satellites, and it's going to create the communication back to, and that's part of 5G. Well, if you'll notice, 5G has been pushed to the back,
Right.
as we're now focusing on cyber and bio. So Gilt will eventually come up. Right now it's down 40%. So if it isn't working, come back to it later. Sell it, take your loss, and go put your money where it will produce more for you.
Yeah.
So now you have a channel, a focus that you want to market your skill better. Okay, you're going to ask Sammy if there's other things you can do for him. You're going to look at creating a YouTube channel, and you're going to look at maybe creating a commercial side of your business.
Yeah.
And you're all going to do this. You're going to do all this within an LLC. Now, the other thing you got going on is real estate.
Yeah, I do.
Tell me about your real estate.
Well, when I was back when I was working at Toyota, I was starting when I was 29. I met a friend who was in real estate himself. He was 5 years younger than me, but his family had been in real estate some. They owned a little local motel. And he offered me the opportunity to buy this little trailer out in the country with him that he was going to resell, remodel and resell. He needed like $1,000. I don't want to lose my $1,000, but I'll give it a shot. So I invested that with him and went out and actually did a little bit of the work too with him. Learned a little bit about how to do some repairs just in that little trailer. And long story short, that was the beginning of a long relationship of he and I investing in rental properties and flip homes. And so I learned quite a bit just from my friend about doing all that. And through the years, ended up in Nashville and was renting when I started with Sammy. And was thinking, well, why am I renting? I've seen better than that, so I need to buy something. So I wanted to buy a duplex where I could rent out one side and live in the other, because I didn't want the full mortgage payment myself.
Right.
That worked fine because I'd already done that somewhat through the years, but not on my own. That was my first property on my own. It worked. I lived there 4 years. The rent on the other side was making 75% of my payment. Okay. And then I was thinking, well, why don't I rent out the side I'm in now and buy something else? So I did. I kept my duplex, rented out both sides, found another property as a little ranch-style home, just a small home. But I wanted something that I could get some rent out of it too somehow. It had a basement that was needed finishing. It was finished according to what they claimed, but it was a mess. So I ripped all that out, took it down to the concrete, bare walls, and ended up building an apartment down there, rented that out, which paid for that house, plus the money coming in on the other rentals. And then a few years after that, I thought, well, keep going.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again.
So how many properties you got
I've
now?
got 3 now.
Okay.
I stopped at this last one.
Okay. My question to you then is, are they all generating income for you?
They are.
Okay. Do you need that income now?
I don't need it to live, but I've actually used some of that to invest.
Consider this. Right now you can borrow money at 3%.
Yeah.
Is your credit good?
Yeah.
Okay. What if you turned those in and you leveraged them such that you had more debt on them that gave you the ability to go out and buy more property?
Leverage is an important word here.
Yes, and because money costs 3% now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So rather than take that, we're going to generate $1,000 a week that we're going to put in the stock market. What if we take the real estate and mortgage it up so that we have more money that we can borrow to go buy new real estate? And because you're going to be busy traveling and doing your digital and your YouTube, now get associated again with someone, and your asset you're bringing is money and credit.
Right.
Okay? And then find a good carpenter or a good handyman and let him do the work.
Let them do the work instead of me, like I've done all these years. And it's been tough.
Exactly. Let them do the work, and you create a partnership. Then when you get to retirement and you don't have your concert income, now you sell some of the property and turn around and pay some of your mortgages down, so your best properties pay you a retirement income.
Smart man here, y'all.
I hope you all followed that. But what you're doing is, I think most of us don't recognize we have an asset called a good credit rating. And that asset is probably, particularly in light of the fact that interest rates are so low, it's like Ken Lencone, who is the money man behind Home Depot. He said rich people make money by borrowing money from poor people. Okay? So if you want to get rich and you got good credit, use it. And if you say, like Steven says, I don't want to go be painting bathrooms, and I don't want to be spreading sheetrock mud all over the thing.
That's my least favorite, sanding sheetrock.
Because you're no good at it.
I hate it.
And then you paint it and you got to sand it again. So have someone else do that that's good at it, and what you're providing is the money. Okay? And you're providing the money because you've worked so hard to keep a good credit rating. If you'll put forth the work, that's another thing that I have realized is 99% of the people don't have the courage.
Yeah.
And why don't they have the courage? Because of that unwanted roommate up there that says, you can't do that. Mike, Stephen, you can't do that.
That's very true. We think that way.
We've been trained to think that way. And sometimes I believe, and Stephen has shared that he has read my book, that it happens in the first 14 years of your life.
Yeah.
That something happens that forms your character, that gives strength to that unwanted roommate, and you won't ask her out because everybody will laugh at you because she's too pretty for you, and you can't go to your boss and ask him for a raise. He might fire you. Well, if you, like I'm saying to Sammy, don't go and ask for a raise. Ask for, what more can I do for you?
Give value to him.
Yes.
He can give value back to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we need to do to put more butts in seats?
Yeah.
How can I help you do that? Because you made a statement, you called me, and I think you were in Houston or in Texas somewhere.
Yeah, I show out there somewhere.
And you said something like, I think we're going to have a good one here, which told me you've had some bad ones.
Yeah, occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah, they're usually good. But...
So if I'm Sammy and somebody comes to me and says, what do we got to do to put more butts in seats? Again, leverage your skills, leverage your money, leverage your talents, and then make a commitment to invest whatever you've grown your income into good, sound investment.
And something else I think is really important here. We've talked about, I can't do that kind of an attitude. And earlier we were speaking about something, I don't remember what it was, but it looks like a mountain in front of you, and I can't tackle that mountain. Well, something you said at the very beginning of your book, which you need to get that book and read it, folks, where you said, take one step, and the next step will follow.
Exactly.
That's all you have to do.
Stephen, I want to thank you for consenting to do this, and you shared with me, you were kind of shocked when I said I was going to get in my car and come up and do this.
Carrie Grinkmeyer contacted me. Why would I not be shocked?
And it's all part of sharing our lives. And Stephen's got a wonderful attitude. As we talked earlier, he said, I just hope I can inspire somebody to take a step into their life. And so I want to personally thank you.
Well, thank you.
And I think what I've learned here, and I have not announced this anywhere because I didn't know how this was going to go.
I didn't either.
Okay. But I think this really brings value. And so I'm reaching out to you. Nita and I are willing to get in a car and drive. And if this channel grows the way we hope it will, we'll be willing to get on an airplane and come and talk. Because again, we have an LLC, so all the expenses are a tax deduction or a write-off. And we'll talk more about LLCs, and you need to get an LLC because you're going to have different facets. You've already got the music business. You've already got real estate. There are some tremendous advantages. For you right now, you are allowed to put up to $6,000 into an IRA. For me as a business owner and an LLC, I'm allowed to put up to $56,000 a year into an IRA or into it's called a solo 401k. And then one of the tricks you can pull on it is once it's in that 401k, you can then immediately convert it into a Roth, and now all future, particularly if you're 30 years old, all that future growth is tax-free.
Yeah, and all that is, I've had a lot of questions about all that I need clarification from somebody. Here's your man. And I've looked into things like, well, people that give you advice, start an LLC, and some people say, no, don't do it. Just have an umbrella policy to cover anything.
Well, they're taking the words literally. Limited liability corporation, and sure, an umbrella policy will do that, but it gives you no it gives you no tax advantages.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Wealthy people get wealthy by using our tax laws to their advantage. And an LLC or a subchapter S corporation, even a partnership, is a second entity that has privileges that our legislature has created because they're influenced by rich lobbyists. Okay?
Yeah.
So take advantage of it.
yeah, and I've had some benefit of the taxes with owning real estate.
Yeah.
But probably not nearly what I could be doing if I have that LLC.
Okay. Thank you again, Stephen.
Thank you, Mr. Carey.
Okay, it
What
was a real
privilege.
pleasure.
Yes, sir.
And
An honor.
I've got a new friend in Nashville.
My buddy.